Okay, welcome in one and all. I'm now going to be taking a look at Week 11's matchups of the NFL season. Hard to believe we're well over halfway into the season. Boy, oh boy, does time ever fly. Now we're going to be previewing Week 11's matchup, as I said prior. I'm probably just going to sound like a broken record. So starting with these Thursday night matchup taking place between two AFC North rivals in the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Both these teams are coming off losses. Last week, the Bengals lost to the Texans, and the Ravens lost to the Browns. So both these teams are looking to bounce back and get back into the win column. The Bengals are coming into this matchup sitting just one game above 500 at 5-4, while the Ravens are sitting at 7-3. So they're still atop of that AFC North division, but I'm sure they would love to be able to stretch their lead out. And it's crazy to think that all four teams, if the playoffs were to start now, would most likely be in it because the Bengals, like I said, they're 5-4. The Steelers and Browns are both 6-3 respectively, and therefore the Ravens are 7-3. So all these teams are within like one or two games of each other. So this is a very close division. If I want to be completely honest with you, if I'm going to have to put my money on any team, I'm going to give the edge to the Ravens. I just believe they should be able to prevail. I'd be very shocked if they lost two games in a row. But then again, I was also shocked that they lost last week to the Browns. I figured they would have had that game in the bag, but evidently it was not meant to be. So I believe the Ravens should bounce back and secure their eighth win of the season. Take a look at Sunday's matchups. The first one takes place in Carolina, where we have the host Panthers, and they're taking on the Dallas Cowboys. If you're a Panthers fan, I want to pity you. I feel bad for you. Coming into this matchup, they're sitting at 1-8, while the Dallas Cowboys are looking like the Cowboys that I expected them to be, sitting at 6-3. Uh, I want to give the edge to the Cowboys in this one. Like I said, the Panthers are just really out of control. They're pretty much just fighting to get that number one spot when it comes to the upcoming draft, whereas the Cowboys are fighting to uh, stay competitive in that NFC East, whether it's a matter of trying to get above the Eagles or at least get a wild card position. I believe both are still, without a question, possible, but I'd say a wild card spot more than anything. So I will give the edge to the Cowboys in this matchup. The next one takes place in Cleveland, where we have the host team, Cleveland Browns, and they are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they went from playing the Ravens to the Steelers. So two divisional matchups back to back. I'm going to give the edge. Sorry, before I give my prediction on on which team will win. As I said prior, when I was previewing the Ravens game, both these teams are now sitting at 6-3. So both of them are playing very good football. Wow, if only I get English today. Uh, the only unfortunate news for the Browns is they have lost Deshaun Watson for the rest of the season. So how will that impact this team moving forward? Will their backup be able to take over and lead this team into a successful run? Only time will tell, but I just believe that I have more faith in Pittsburgh coming away with the victory in this one, especially now that Watson is out for the rest of the season. The next matchup takes place in Michigan, where we have the Detroit Lions, and they are playing host to the Chicago Bears. So one team is looking absolutely unstoppable, while the other team is looking to more or less towards the draft. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, the Chicago Bears are sitting at 3-7, while the Detroit Lions are sitting atop of that NFC North, awful pretty at 7-2. I will give the edge to the Lions in this matchup. I just think there's something about this team. There's a certain moxie, there's a certain charisma about this team, and I believe they will be able to secure an NFC North title for the first time in decades. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, yeah, they have made the playoffs here and there, but as wildcard teams. So I truly believe the Lions should be victorious against their NFC North rival. Speaking of the NFC North, we have the Green Bay Packers, and they are playing host to the Los Angeles Chargers. So I'll pull up those teams and their logos as you should see them on your screen. So the Chargers are coming into this matchup sitting at 4-5 after their loss last week, and the Packers also lost last week as well. They are sitting at 3-6. So neither team has really impressed me. Neither team has felt that they've are the better team on paper. The Chargers, I believe, are falling short of what they were last year. Obviously, they made it the postseason last year. It's going to be very difficult to make it as the AFC is going to be very competitive. It's very tight. And for the Packers, I believe this season is pretty much lost. They're already 3 games below 500, so trying to get back up to 500, that would mean you have to win 3 straight games, and then you have to rely on other teams to lose in order for you to play catch up. So for the Packers, I believe they're just going to be playing spoilers for the rest of the year. And I believe with the home team and the home crowd, as it's getting colder, I believe they should be able to pull this one out. And I think they might be able to get to their 4th win of the season. I'm going to give the edge to the Packers in this matchup. The next matchup takes place in Houston, where we have the Texans, and they are playing host to the Arizona Cardinals. So, the Cardinals are coming into this matchup after a big win in Kyler Murray's return. They are sitting at 2-8, and the Houston Texans, after a big upset last week over the Bengals, are sitting at 5-4. I'm going to give the edge to the Texans in this matchup. I know Murray played it pretty decently, and obviously that got a huge win for the Cardinals. But when you're sitting at 2-8, your season's over. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, you're already 10 games into the season. You're sitting at 2-8. You're 6 games below 500. Even if you were to make it to 500, you'd have to win, like I said, 6 straight games. And by that time, you're hoping that all the other teams in your conference are going to go on 6-game losing streaks, respectively. So I'm going to give the edge to the Texans in this matchup. I believe that they have proven myself and a lot of other doubters wrong, and they very well could be competitive. They're only a game behind the Jaguars for the AFC South crown. So I believe they are going to be playing very competitive football from here on out. And speaking of the AFC South, the Jaguars are in action, and they are taking on the Tennessee Titans. So an AFC South showdown. There. So the teams should appear on your screen right away. So as I said, the Jaguars are now sitting at 6-3, while the Titans actually have the opposite record. They are sitting at 3-6. I believe the Jaguars should be able to get the victory in this one. There's just something about Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. They seem to have a pretty good charisma between the two of them. A decent head coach and quarterback. And obviously, if you have a good head coach and quarterback in this league, you should be successful. And like I said, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but yeah, I will predict that the Jaguars should prevail over the Titans in this matchup. The next matchup takes place in Florida, where we have the Miami Dolphins, and they're taking on a team that is looking so much better now that they're under new coaching and management in the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Raiders managed to get back to 500 football, sitting at 5-5, and the Miami Dolphins are sitting at 6-3 coming into this matchup. I know the big thing with the Dolphins is they seem to be able to beat teams with losing records or below 500 records, and they have a hard time competing with teams that are successful. But I believe they should be able to bounce back after they lost, I think it was week 9 against the Chiefs in Germany. They should be able to bounce back and get a 7th win over this Las Vegas Raiders squad. The next matchup takes place in Washington, where we have the Commanders, and they're playing host to the lowly New York Football Giants. So New York is coming into this matchup sitting at 2-8, while the Washington Commanders are just 2 games below 500, sitting at 4-6. I will give the edge to the home team in this matchup, only because the big thing, obviously, for the Giants is they lost Daniel Jones for the rest of the season. So can they really get a quarterback to play decently in his absence? It's really hard to tell. Maybe, I don't know. I feel bad for the team. Like I said, they've had such high expectations coming into this year, making the playoffs last year, that the fact that they're sitting where they're at now is just mind-blowing. And as for the Commanders, I knew they wouldn't be that great, but they're not that terrible either. So I believe they should be able to prevail in this matchup and get. They should secure their 5th win of the season, which would then make them just 1 game below 500 football. All right, the next matchup takes place in San Francisco, where we have the host team and the 49ers, who are looking like them old selves, and they're taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you should see the teams on your screen as we speak. So the Buccaneers are coming into this matchup one game below 500, sitting at 4-5, while the 49ers finally got their 3-game losing streak to stop, getting a massive victory last week over the Jacksonville Jaguars, sitting at 6-3, as they're pretty much tied or up top of that NFC West division with the Seahawks. I'm going to give the edge to the home team in this one. Like I said, they seemed more confident last week, and they seemed like the 49ers that we saw after the first 5 games of the season, and I believe they should be able to keep this ball rolling. I wouldn't be surprised if they pretty much won out the remaining of their schedule, or at least most of the games from here on out. The next matchup takes place in the AFC East, where we have the Buffalo Bills, and they're taking on the New York Jets. So both these teams coming off losses just last week. I believe there was more expectation out of the Bills this season than there were of the Jets. The Jets are coming into this matchup sitting at 4-5. The Bills have now lost 2 straight games. They are back to 500 football, sitting at 5-5. They're pretty much a game and a half or almost 2 games behind. I say a game and a half behind the Dolphins, because the Dolphins are 6-3. The Bills have 1 less win and 2 more losses. So, and obviously, I believe the Dolphins beat them, if I'm not mistaken, earlier in the season. So, for the Bills, they're reeling at the worst time of the year. They should be able to secure this victory over the Jets as long as Josh Allen can protect the football. Turnovers are going to kill this team. Fumbles obviously don't help, and mental mistakes like having 12 men on the field at the very end of the game when you could have pulled out a victory. But like I said, all those factors can really hurt a team when it comes to trying to proceed and get into a playoff position. Because at this rate, the Bills would honestly be lucky if they made a wild card spot. So I believe they need this victory more than anything, because if you look at their schedule for the rest of the year, it's not easy. I still think they have to play against the Chiefs, and I still think they play against the Eagles. This is not going to be an easy matchup for this Bills squad moving forward. So I will give the edge to this one. They should get the victory over Zach Wilson and the Jets. The next matchup takes place in Los Angeles, where we have the host team in the Los Angeles Rams, and they are playing host to the Seattle Seahawks. So as I mentioned when I was talking about the 49ers, the Seahawks are tied with the 49ers. Both these teams are sitting at 6-3, while the Los Angeles Rams are sitting at 3-6. So for the Seahawks, obviously this is a crucial game. They want to try and be as competitive as they can and try to stay linked with the 49ers for a top of that NFC West division. As for the Los Angeles Rams, this could be yet another losing season, back-to-back losing season for the first time, I want to say, in I don't know how long, because they've been so competitive up until these last 2 years, but injuries and inconsistencies have really caught up with this Los Angeles squad. So I am going to give the edge to the away team in this one. I believe the Seahawks should be competitive and should be able to secure their 7th win of the year. Off to the Sunday night matchup, where we have a team that is on a 3-game winning streak taking on a team that's also on a 3 or 4-game winning streak as well. So one of these winning streaks should come to an end, but it's a matter of who and how. So we have the Minnesota Vikings. They're coming into this matchup sitting at 6-4 after I believe they started the season off at like 1-4 or something like that. So they're on like a 5-game winning streak, which is unbelievable. And as for the Broncos, they started the season off 1-5. They have now gone 3 straight games with a victory, so they're on a 3-game winning streak. So one of these winning streaks will come to an end, pending that there's not a tie. I want to give the edge to the Broncos in this one. They just have been proven that that game against the Dolphins when they gave up like 70 points, that was just a fluke. Since then, their defense has really come alive, and between getting stops, turnover on downs, picks, fumble recoveries, I should say, you name it. This defense is looking like the defense that they were a season ago. And as for the Vikings, they could pull this one off. I would not be surprised. Josh Dobbs is playing unreal. I didn't think he'd be playing as well as he was and I didn't think he'd be able to get the Vikings in the position that they are, which is just a game or so behind the Lions for that NFC North crown. I believe they are in a wild card position, if I'm not mistaken. So it's hard to believe that even though they lost Kirk Cousins for the rest of the season, this team could potentially make the playoffs, which is absolutely absurd. But as much as I want to praise the Vikings, and again they very well could pull this one off, I will give the edge to the Broncos. They should get back to 500 with their fifth win of the year. And then the last game on tap is probably the most intriguing one. And I'm going to say it right now. This could honestly be a Super Bowl preview. Yes, these two teams met last year, but both these teams are red hot. Both these teams are atop of their respective conferences. So you have the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles taking on the 7-2 Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a tough one. I believe that it could be a high-scoring affair as you have the brotherly shove in the Philadelphia Eagles, and you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. As long as those two guys are linked and are seeing eye to eye, this could be a very dangerous squad moving forward. But I will give the edge to the Chiefs in this matchup. As long as Taylor Swift's around, the Chiefs always seem to have success whenever she is watching her man and Kelce take the field. I just believe that the Arrowhead crowd could very well play a major factor in this one. The Eagles might be able to pull an away upset off, but I truly believe that the Chiefs are probably more than likely going to get the victory in this one. And like I said at the very start when I was talking about these two teams, I would not be surprised if this was yet another Super Bowl matchup in the upcoming months. Both these teams are just playing unbelievable. When you have a talent in Jalen Hurts and Mahomes going at it, it's going to be some fireworks to say the least. All right, so I'm just going to take one little quick glance just to make sure I didn't miss anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there are 14 games that are on tap. So therefore, there must be at least 4 teams that are on their bye week. So I will just take a quick little glance at my phone. So while I'm waiting to check the schedule, my record coming into this week of football is 86-57. I guess we'll have to wait and see where I'm at. Even if I got all my picks wrong, I would still be above 500. So I'm pretty happy with how I've been able to predict certain teams. And yeah, I think there was one week where I was like extremely dominant and I got like a majority of the wins. So we'll see just how I do, I guess, on this upcoming week. So the 4 teams that are on their bye weeks are the Atlanta Falcons. They are sitting at 4-6. The New Orleans Saints are at 500 football, sitting at 5-5. The Indianapolis Colts are also sitting at 5-5. And the New England Patriots, who are having a dreadful season to say the least, are sitting at 2-8. Just going to jot this down here real quick. Bye weeks. Okay. So that takes care of my week 11 previews. I will be doing a review, as I always do, next Tuesday after the Monday night game. So, yeah, as always, if you like this type of content and you're new to the channel, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and I'm very appreciative. And as always, take care.